Yes, sir. Who may I ask who's calling?
Hey, this is actually Henson over at the Paulding County Sheriff's Office. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, sir. How about you?
I'm good. Sorry, I got my radio on. It's a little loud. I'm driving down the road.
It's all good. It's all good. I just got some questions for you about an incident that happened on, I believe, May 4th of 2022.
Yeah.
About 6 days ago, involving a Deputy Evans and a Corporal Dyer.
Yes, sir.
Have they been placed on administrative leave?
No, sir, they have not.
Do we know why?
Well, so explain to me why. What is your reasoning, I guess, to think that they should be placed on administrative leave?
Okay.
I'm not familiar. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Reading the police report and everything in here, and I'm sure you've seen the video that's been published already.
Yes, sir.
With what happened. So let me read you the narrative that this corporal, let me remind you, he's a corporal, means he's a supervisor. Let me read you the narrative that he wrote in his official report. On the listed date and location, I responded to a dispute. A verbal altercation occurred between a female and a male on scene, and information was gathered. One male was arrested from the incident. That's it. Where's his probable cause or the warrant for him entering the residence?
Right. So, well, and I certainly understand why you have a lot of questions, because I certainly would as well. So and I'm assuming you pulled open records and got a copy of that report.
I've got everything, sir.
Right. So, well, actually, you don't. You have that's the what's considered the face sheet. So you have the basic information. You have the date, the time, the location, the type of call, and that's the initial narrative. That's not the full narrative of the report. So there's actually a full narrative that you're not privy to, and so that's why it appears that he only wrote a 3-sentence report. There's actually a very in-depth report that you don't have, because that's not something that's going to be released to the public, because it is still they're still they're still actively investigating. So there's a whole lot more that you don't have.
Okay. Okay,
Yes,
alrighty. And then I guess when the investigation is complete, we'll request that report as well.
Yeah.
Also,
Absolutely.
Did Corporal Dyer or Deputy Evans have a warrant to enter the residence?
Did they have a warrant to enter the residence?
Yes,
No,
sir.
Not that I'm aware.
Okay, so they did not have a warrant that you're aware of. Did they have probable cause or extenuating circumstances to enter the residence?
Well, like I said, I personally, I haven't even read the entire report, so really, if I commented, it would be more speculation. But from what I understand, yes, there were extenuating circumstances that led them to enter that residence as a result of the call that they were there to see about.
Do you know what the cause they were there for?
It was some type of, and you'll have to excuse me. I don't have all of the information, because I haven't been able to read their full report. But there was some type of dispute there at the residence between the individual that was arrested. From what I understand, his either significant other, wife. I'm not sure of their marital status, and from what I understand, the homeowner or the property owner who either lives there or has a business there with them. There was some type of dispute between those parties, and now I don't know exactly what that dispute was about, because, as I said, I haven't had an opportunity to read the entire report. But I certainly understand why you guys have questions, and we want to make sure that you guys get all the information that you can, and we want to be as open and as transparent as possible with you guys, and anybody for that matter.
Okay, and then I guess since the subject, the male and female that were living there, whether or not a lease was signed, it doesn't matter. That's their house, that's their residence. So the said landlord would have to pursue other legal ramifications as far as that. And we don't have to get into that. That's completely something totally different. However, I just wanted to know what extenuating circumstance and or probable cause led those two deputies to enter that residence. And I say this because what extenuating circumstance led them to do that? There has to be something, or there has to be some type of probable cause. There cannot be any type of hearsay. There has to be circumstantial evidence or probable cause for those two deputies. And that corporal, being a corporal, he should know this. He's a supervisor. he ought to know this stuff. So I want to know what extenuating circumstance or probable cause led them to break into that house.
Right. And obviously, once it gets to the point where that information can be released, certainly you guys will be able to access that, and you'll be able to see exactly what all transpired and why they did what they did. And we certainly want to make that available to you as soon as we can as well. So we appreciate you guys looking into it and appreciate what you guys do. We know that there are folks out there that sometimes can do the wrong things in the public sector, and we strive to do all the right things. Now, are we perfect? Absolutely not. But I don't know of any individual who's perfect, whether it's in out in the business world or in the government world, who makes all the right decisions every single time. So we do I feel like we do a pretty good job of trying to do the right thing at all times. Do we fall short sometimes? Absolutely. I'm sure we do. Just like every other government entity does as well. So I'm sure you guys can appreciate that and appreciate that we really want to be as transparent as possible with you guys and anyone else for that matter.
Okay, and you said that this is an internal investigation going on?
I do believe that they have initiated an internal investigation. Now, as far as them being on any kind of administrative leave, that's, to my understanding, that's not the case this time. But just for you, and you probably already know this, I'm probably just preaching to the choir, but that's just to determine if there are any type of policy violations, right? So if there were allegations of criminal misconduct, then we would certainly call the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, to come in and investigate any kind of criminal allegations against our staff, and we've done that. We had a situation back last year where we had to arrest 2 of our inmates. Actually, GBI did. Arrest 2 of our jailers for having inappropriate relations with some inmates. Was that a black eye? Absolutely. Was that a situation where our folks didn't do the right thing? Absolutely. But our sheriff and our command staff knew that they did the wrong thing, and they did the proper or put the proper steps in place to make sure, number one, those individuals had no more contact with inmates, and number 2, that a thorough and fair third-party investigation was conducted. And if it gets to that point with this situation, we'll certainly do the same thing.
Do we know why that corporal commenced to, strike the individual multiple times with his fist?
It's one of those things where we're not seeing the entirety of the incident, and I'm sure you can appreciate.
What are you talking about? The entirety of the incident? The entire thing was caught on camera.
Well, I don't think that's
the entirety of the incident.
So, and maybe you've seen it, but I have not. Is there video from the time they got on scene until the time they left the scene? Because if there is, I'm not aware.
I'm not aware of any of that. I'm not aware of any of that video. However, I believe the audio recording has been requested, as well as we're trying to figure out why a brand new jail has been built and a bunch of new police cars have been bought, and the deputies out on the road are not supplied with body cameras.
Right. Some of our staff have them. Some of them do not. And the deputies that were out there that day do not have them. They do have cameras in their cars, but they don't have body cameras. And so when I say the entirety, I mean from the first interaction with whoever they talked to first, whether it was the complainant or the individual who was arrested. I don't know, and I would venture a guess you probably don't know either. So we don't know what led up to that. And I'm sure, and I don't know what your background is, if you have a law enforcement or if you're a lawyer. I'm not sure what your background is, but you can probably appreciate when we talk about the totality of the circumstances, which is basically everything that goes into the decisions that are made. And so we want to make sure we don't rush into a hasty judgment just based on a short video that we saw. And I think that's important that we make sure we look at the entirety of the incident and what led up to the altercation with our deputies and this gentleman.
Okay, so is what you're telling me is that there was extenuating circumstances that those deputies had to, beyond a reasonable doubt and beyond what a reasonable officer would do, they had to make entry to that residence. Am I correct on that? 'Cause I thought that's what I heard you say earlier.
Yes, that's my understanding. Yes, sir. That there were extenuating circumstances, from what I understand. Now, obviously, you and I were not there, so we're going based on what you saw on the video. I'm going based on what I have heard and read, and so from what I understand, yes.
Now, do you know what those extenuating circumstances was?
No, sir, I surely don't, and I apologize. I don't know. I'm still working to get all the information as well.
Okay, here's a golden question for you. If there was extenuating circumstances for those deputies to make entry and to make an arrest like they did, that means that the subject violated a criminal law. Is that correct?
I would say that would be one of the extenuating circumstances that would cause them to make that arrest. Yes, sir. Now, what law was violated, I don't know. That's what I'm still trying to figure out. What was the nature of the call? Was there a criminal law that was alleged to have been broken or violated? If there was, and they were conducting an investigation, was there an assault or battery on the deputies prior to what you saw on the video? I don't know, and you don't know, because we weren't there, number one, and number two, the video doesn't depict that.
There was not any assault. There was not any assault or battery on the deputies prior to the video, and I know that for a fact because there'd be more charges.
Okay. Well,
And I say this because there's only one charge. There's a felony obstruction, and I'm trying to figure out what was the extenuating circumstance for them to enter a residence to conduct business the way they conducted, just for a simple obstruction charge. What led up to the obstruction? What led those deputies to charge somebody with obstruction? What was the subject obstructing? Because the understanding I got, and is what is out there, and what I've seen and what I have pieced together, is that the subject just decided he didn't want to talk to him. And if you don't want to talk to a deputy, and you don't want to give them an ID, you better have reasonable suspicion or probable cause before you start inserting yourself into doing that sort of thing.
Right, and I think what you said was key. What you just said was a key piece of information, is that you're piecing everything together. And so, like you said, you don't know. You're having to piece it together, so that when you piece something together, there's situations where if you don't get all the pieces put together, especially like when you're doing a puzzle, if you don't put all the pieces together, guess what? You got a gap, and it's not going to be correct. It's not going to be complete.
Let me ask you this.
So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to make sure we do get all the pieces put together, so we do have a clear and accurate picture. And I can assure you, sir, if we can determine that there's misconduct on the behalf of our staff, we are going to turn it over to the proper authorities and allow them to look into it and investigate it from a criminal standpoint. We are already looking into it from a policy standpoint, from an internal standpoint. So, rest assured, we're looking at this situation from all angles.
Let me ask you this, from your professional experience, given extenuating circumstances like you're claiming that the deputies have, although before you said you're not sure, but you're saying that they have, would more charges be on this other than just a simple felony? Well, it's not a simple. If it's simple, it'd be misdemeanor, but a felony obstruction charge. What extenuating because you cannot go. You can stand there and yell it all day till you're blue in the face. You cannot operate on an extenuating circumstance or probable cause off of hearsay. So if them deputies are operating off hearsay, the Paulding County is about to get a big lawsuit. They're fixing to get a massive lawsuit.
So here's one thing to bear in mind as well. And like I said, I don't know what your background is. You sound like you may be a lawyer. I don't know, or a former law enforcement. But you have to bear in mind as well, sometimes investigations can take some time. And I don't know how familiar you are with the court proceeding processes and procedures, but there could be additional charges levied at a grand jury. So there very well might be charges coming when this case goes before grand jury, because the DA can always indict someone at a later time, because the DA has that ability and authority. And that may very well be the case. There may be a situation where more charges could potentially be pending. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not. But that could be a situation where you might see more charges coming as this investigation unfolds in the future. So what you might, and I certainly see what you're saying. I get it 100%. But those potential charges could be coming in the future if it is deemed that they are warranted. And like I said, we're still trying to put all the pieces together, as are you. And so like I said, we're diligently looking at this. I'm not trying to discount or discredit anything that you're saying. And we appreciate you guys looking into it.
Does every case,
that's what our country is about.
Does every arrest that the Paulding County makes, does it go to the Internal Investigations Department?
Well, no, sir. No, you know that.
Why did this case go to come across the Internal Affairs investigator
we have a
today?
Complaint. We have a complaint. When there's a complaint, it's going to go through our Internal Affairs. Obviously, if there's not a complaint, we're not going to investigate it. But there has been a complaint levied, so that's why they're looking into it.
Do you know when the Internal Affairs complaint was launched?
No, sir, I surely don't. Between the time they were, whenever the complainant made the complaint, which is, I'm not familiar.
Okay. Just trying to figure out why the full narrative didn't come out, because it looks like this case number 2022 05040094.
Right.
Yeah, why this narrative is only like 3 sentences versus because he needs to have
Well, Mr. Russell, I just explained that to you, sir. You only get that initial portion of the narrative. You don't get the full narrative because with working with our county attorney and the Georgia Open Records Act, that's what is released by our agency.
So this is what went on the warrantless?
I'm sorry. The warrant? No, that's
no. I'm assuming that Corporal Dyer did a warrantless for this, so I was wondering if this is what went on the warrantless affidavit.
I'm sorry, you're going to explain what a warrant list? Or you said LIST? I'm sorry.
No, warrantless affidavit. When someone gets arrested and gets brought to jail, the arresting officer fills out what's called a warrantless affidavit, and that puts the charges and everything, and if there's felonies, that's what the judge looks at to determine bond and all of that stuff.
Right. I have not seen the warrant.
No, it's not a warrant. It had to have been a warrantless affidavit that the deputy had to fill out when he got to the jail, or in the car before he got there. At some point he filled something out that put this Mr. Gregory in front of a judge to.
Right. So have you ever worked at the Paulding County Sheriff's Office? Because every sheriff's office in every jurisdiction is different. I've been here quite some time, and I've never filled out a warrantless affidavit for a warrant. And I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying your experience is incorrect, but I'm not familiar with that here in Paulding County.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. What does Paulding County fill out when they arrest somebody without a warrant?
We fill out a booking sheet, which is the charge, and then we go before the EWI machine, which is the electronic warrant system, and we swear and affirm via the EWI machine to the judge the charge and explain the situation and type all the information in the affidavit. So
y'all take warrants out for every arrest, I'm assuming?
Well, no, sir, not arrests that are made on citation. So, say I arrested an individual for driving on suspended license, it would go on a citation.
No, I'm talking about this incident here for the felony obstruction. Like, there was a warrant taken out for this.
If you arrest an individual and you take warrant, then yes, you're gonna appear before a judge either in person, but typically via video conference, and you will swear and affirm via video conference in reference to whatever the charges are, and the judge will electronically sign, and you will print the warrant, and then you will take it to the jail.
And that's what y'all do every time?
Yes, sir. When we have a warrant, or where we take warrants. Now, there are situations where, say, Douglas County has a warrant on an individual, we stop them where we have an interaction with them, and we arrest them, then certainly we don't take warrants on someone who already has a warrant.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about this situation specific. He was arrested for felony obstruction. When he got to jail, from my understanding, is that the deputy went in front of a judge and took a warrant for this charge.
He would have at some point.
Yeah, he had to.
Maybe not right when that occurred, but he has a certain amount of time to take that warrant. And then, well, I don't know what the time was that he took the warrant, but he took the warrant at some point after the gentleman was arrested. I'm sure. I don't know that I'm actually answering your question.
No. I'm just trying to see see how the process. Just trying to see how the process works, because it makes sense since he was arrested on Wednesday and not released till Friday, or got a bond till Friday. So it makes sense to take to go in front of the judge and take the warrant, because that keeps him in jail longer, and it keeps them longer in jail before they can get granted a bond, and therefore increases the state and federal funding for more inmates being incarcerated. So that makes perfect sense. Instead of
you do know that we only have first appearance hearings on certain days, right? So that has nothing to do with getting more funding and this and that.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. You can do your first appearance however you do it, according to Georgia law, and it's perfectly fine. You can do that. I just don't understand the stipulations of making an arrest on the side of the road like this happened, and making a warrantless arrest with probable cause, and then taking the person to the jail, and then having to go through the hoops, get through everything just to get a signed warrant, when you can do a warrantless affidavit to it. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but that's how y'all do it. And that's how y'all do it.
Like
it's
I said,
fine.
I don't know where you work or used to work, but unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that process. So I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with that process.
Okay. And do you know how long Corporal Dyer's been working with Paulding County?
I surely don't. I could find out, but I don't have that information.
And do you know if he has any other disciplinary actions?
I do not know.
Do y'all do use of force reports?
Yes, we do.
Why wasn't a use of force report done with this?
There was.
Why wasn't it released?
The same reason that you didn't get the full narrative, because it's not one of the Georgia Open Records Act requirements for you or that are released. So yes, he certainly did a use of force report, and so that's one of the things I think we need to make sure that you and your viewers understand, is that just because you don't have it doesn't mean it wasn't done, and just because you don't see it doesn't mean it didn't occur, right? So I think we need to make sure everyone understands that just because it wasn't released to you doesn't mean that we didn't do it, and unfortunately we don't release that information per the Georgia Open Records Act. And so, we're doing everything we can to be transparent and open with you guys. And like I said, we certainly appreciate you reaching out and looking into this. And furthermore, if we did do something wrong, we're going to turn it over to the appropriate authorities and let them look into it.
I think that's already happened.
Nobody's above the law.
I think GBI has already been notified about this incident.
Okay, that's fine. That's fantastic. I mean, I don't know if you know how GBI works, but they don't have original jurisdiction. They only do in certain situations, and this is one they would have to be called upon by the sheriff or someone else to look into an incident. I don't know that we have called them thus far. We may have. I'm just not aware.
If this is getting this much coverage and this much attention, why hasn't the sheriff himself made an official statement about this?
Because I'm the sheriff's spokesperson and I speak on his behalf.
Okay.
And when you say this much attention, I've not gotten one call from anyone in the local media about this incident. So I wouldn't really call this much coverage. I'm not discrediting or discounting your page, but I've not gotten any calls from any Metro Atlanta or national media outlets regarding this incident.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right, and then this happened back on the 4th, and I guess I know you were made aware of the video last week and everything that's going on. I'm just trying to figure out why you don't have much information about it.
I have what I've been given, sir. And I think I've given you a lot of information to answer a lot of your questions, I feel like.
Yeah, but I really want to know what the extenuating circumstance was.
Well, once all that's made public, you will certainly know for sure.
And what's the, I guess, the Paulding County Sheriff's Office policy for deputies going under an internal investigation? Do they just conduct work as usual until something's made aware, or what's the
Well, it just depends. It just depends, and certainly I'm not going to quote what the policy states because I'm not looking at it, but it depends on what the incident is. Obviously, if it was a deputy-involved shooting incident, they would go on paid routine administrative leave, and they would not be back at work. But every situation is different. It depends on what the allegations are. But thus far, the deputies in question are still on duty and working on their days of work.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. So I take it all the deputies of Paulding County follows the Paulding County Sheriff's Office policy and the U.S. Constitution to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I think that's what every law enforcement officer should follow. The policy of their agency. They should follow what the state law of the state they live in indicates, and I think they should also follow the Constitution of the United States of America. I think that's pretty fair.
Looking at the video, what is your conclusion about looking at the video?
My conclusion is that just like a lot of the incidents you're seeing on television, you're only getting a portion of the story. You're only getting a piece of the puzzle. I would like to see the entire puzzle laid out so we can put the pieces together and figure out what actually took place. And that's what we're attempting to do. Is we're attempting to put all the pieces of the puzzle together so we can get a true and accurate representation of what took place.
And if you think those two deputies are in the wrong, then are you on board with the full prosecution of the law of those two co-workers of yours?
I can assure you that if any of our deputies, whether it's the two deputies you're speaking of or any other deputies or jailers, did something wrong and they violated a law of the state of Georgia, then we will stand by with whatever the GBI sets forth as appropriate, whether that an arrest of our deputies or jailers, or if nothing occurs at all. That's why we have the GBI. They're an unbiased third party, and they conduct these investigations, and we lean on them to take care of that. That way there's an unbiased third party investigation. So whatever if they get involved in any kind of criminal allegations in this particular incident, whatever they decide is what will be, that's what will occur, and we will stand by that.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I think you can appreciate that and think that's fair.
I just wanted your thought process, not what GBI decides to do. I'm talking about your process. If these two were in the wrong, do you think they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law?
If any deputy or jailer is in the wrong, then yes, they should be prosecuted.
Okay, including the two in the video.
Including anyone in the continental United States that's in law enforcement. If they violate a law of their state, then they need to be prosecuted. But you have to bear in mind that these situations are not always easy, and there's a lot more going into these situations than what you're seeing in a 10 to 15 to 20 or 30 second video. There's way more involved. And I think you being as smart as you are, you know that. And the bottom of this will be found, and the truth will come out. And if criminal charges are warranted, then they will be taken, and we will support that.
Okay, and then and then I just got a couple more questions, and I'll let. You're probably busy. The statement that Deputy Evans made whenever he was asked a question of not having a warrant or that nature, and then he looked at him and said, "It doesn't work that way."
Right. What's your question with that?
The statement that sends out is that we do whatever we want when we want to do it. Heck with the law.
Well, I think that's your interpretation. I mean, we can all interpret things differently because I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but I think perception is reality, and your perception is based on a lot of different factors on your life, the way you were raised, the jobs you've held, the things you've done in life. So perception is reality, and I think that we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. You're basing what you think on your perception of this short video that you saw. Neither one of us saw the situation unfold in living color, and I'm sure you can appreciate that things seen through the lens of a camera can look very differently in living color. Being someone who was either, I assume, in some kind of law enforcement or some type of government or law, you can appreciate that and understand that.
So
and
you're saying,
we're looking at it from the perspective of being an armchair quarterback, and it's not always easy to do that.
So you're saying that. I just make sure I interpreted this correctly. Seeing it in person and living color is totally different than seeing it from on a camera. So is basically what I heard is that a camera can lie.
I didn't say that it's completely different. I said it can change the way things are unfolding and how quickly they unfold.
How can a camera change how something looks?
Because you don't get the perspective of seeing it through that officer's eyes. You're seeing it from the perspective of the person holding the camera, and you don't know what the officer saw, whether they saw something that could not have been seen.
So I guess there wasn't any weapons located on the guy?
I don't have that information. Like I said, I haven't seen the full report, so I don't know. But what I am saying is that we don't.
Have you listened to the audio of the full call?
The audio of the full? Are you talking about the video that's on your page?
No. I'm talking about the audio because the deputies record all their audio. They have audio recorders, not video. They have audio. So I wanted to know if you've listened to the audio from the beginning.
No, sir, I have not.
Then how are you justifying that they had extenuating circumstances then if you've never heard the audio?
Because I told you that was the information that was conveyed to me.
But what about the information conveyed to me?
What about it?
What I'm stating and what you're stating is two different things. But you haven't.
Right.
Neither one of us have heard the audio at the beginning
of
the call.
Russell, you and I weren't there, right? Would you agree to that?
I agree.
So
to
your
that.
your beliefs and your statements based on what you have been told. I'm basing my statements on what I have been told. And all I can do is tell you what I've been told. That's it. I can't tell you any more or any less. All I can tell you is what I've been told. And that's it. And I wish I could. I wish I was there. I wish I was there as a fly on the wall, and I could have seen it in living color and told you exactly what took place. But I wasn't there, nor were you. And so the only thing I can tell you is that we'll have to agree to disagree because we weren't there.
That's perfectly fine. I mean, yeah, we're all free to agree to disagree. That's definitely.
I'm not mad at you, buddy.
I'm not mad at all. I'm just trying to figure out your thought process on it, which I think I have, and because you said that you haven't listened to you said you have not listened to the audio of
Correct.
the first of the call, but then you made the statement that they had extenuating circumstances to go in, although that's what you were told.
Right.
That's what you were told.
I
So
indicated
you're
that's what I was
taking,
told.
so you're taking your deputy's word, his oath, very, very, which I applaud you for that. You're taking that very, very seriously, whoever told you that, and you're running with that. However, what if that's wrong? And you're putting out the wrong information if it's wrong.
What if what you were told was wrong, Mr. Russell?
If what I'm told is wrong, I would most definitely correct it on my channel.
And you know what? We'll do the same. Because that's how we operate. We want to be as honest and forthcoming as possible. I mean, this is not we're not going to get upset.
Okay, I know.
And we're not going to. No. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I want you to understand and know this. If any of our staff does anything that violates Georgia law, now, today, yesterday, in the future, and it's proven that they violated Georgia law and they committed a criminal act, they will be arrested and appropriately charged. End of story. End of story.
Oh, okay.
Our sheriff
All
will
right,
not
sir.
tolerate folks that are violating the law.
You answered the question right there. You answered it for me. I am 100%. I promise you, I'm 100% satisfied about what you just said, to the fullest extent of the law. So,
Yes.
I don't know. He came in there and beat the brakes off of him, left a whole bunch of, looks like tons of excessive force, and the video doesn't lie about that. And hopefully, that corporal will get terminated and maybe hopefully brought up on charges himself. And that other one, Evans, that he faces some serious repercussions about this. So you actually answered the question for me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, shoot, yeah, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because what you had just said, they need to be held accountable and held, and y'all
Everybody in law enforcement should be held accountable. Don't you agree?
And y'all, I think, yes, I think so as well. So, looking at the video, I mean, you saw the video. What he did was absolutely unjustified and uncalled for. And the last question I got for you is, do you know the 5 elements of the First Amendment?
Please tell me, Mr. Russell. I'd love for you to tell me.
No, do you know them? I know them.
Oh, well, yeah, feel free to let me know. I'd love to hear them.
Are you saying you don't know?
I'm saying I would love for you to tell me, because, Russell, buddy, I tell you, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. And I know the game. And if you'd like to tell me the 5 elements of the First Amendment, I would love to hear them.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. The 6 elements of the First Amendment.
6, whatever you say. Whatever you say there is.
I'm just curious if you know. That's a part of the
Well,
oath.
I'm curious. I'm curious. Do you know?
Oh, trust me, I know. I took the oath quite a few times.
Fantastic. Well, where did you take the oath?
I took it for law enforcement and for the United States Army.
Oh, thank you very much for your service. Where'd you work in law enforcement? I swear I know you from somewhere.
You don't know
I
me.
feel like we've had a class before.
We have not. I promise you, we haven't.
Have we ever had a class at Gypstick?
Nope.
Are you sure?
I promise you.
Like, I've watched some of your videos, and I swear I believe we've had a class together.
I promise you, I have not had a class. Don't think I've ever had any class at Gypstick.
You haven't? Okay.
Nope.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe a regional academy or something. But I swear I know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we know each other. I just, not in a bad way, but like in a law enforcement capacity. I feel like we've run cross paths before, because we've done some work down. I don't know where exactly you live, but somewhere in, I would say, middle to east or west Georgia rather. And we've done some stuff down in Coweta County and some stuff down in LaGrange and Troup County. And I feel like we've met before, but I don't know.
Well, you never know. You
No,
never know.
and I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just talking about in a law enforcement capacity, in some training or some like operation or something like that. Because we've been down there. We assist with other agencies in big events and things like that.
Okay. The one last thing. Back to the question, man. The 5 elements of the
I thought you said there were 6.
the First Amendment.
I thought you said there were 6.
I did say there were 6, but there are actually
Well,
5. I was trying to catch you
there's
slipping.
5. Oh, okay. Well, tell me, Russell. You were the man. You're the First Amendment man. So I want to hear it. I want to hear it from you guys.
I want to hear it from you.
Okay. Well, how do I know you know?
How do I know you know?
Well, there you go. I guess we'll have to be at an impasse.
I tell you what, I'll hook you up.
Hook me up. Send me an email. Let me know.
Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, assembly, and the right to petition the government.
Bam. You got them all. Good job. Fantastic. And I appreciate what you guys do. You guys are wonderful. Keep doing what you're doing. Holding folks accountable. That's what we need.
Yep. Only wish departments would do the same thing.
Hey, I don't know how much more we can do. I mean, you kind of heard our stance. We're holding our folks accountable. I think you can appreciate we can't make a knee-jerk reaction.
I hope
we
so.
have to look at the totality of all the circumstances. We have to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. It wouldn't be fair to make a knee-jerk reaction based on inaccurate evidence and incomplete evidence, would it?
I'm making more like, I guess I'm making hypothesis off of what I see directly in front of me.
So what is a hypothesis, bro? A hypothesis is an educated guess. You know as well as I do, being in law enforcement, guesses don't work. You can't go in a courtroom and say, well, Judge, I got a little bit of a hypothesis here. I've got an educated guess. They're going to laugh you out of the courtroom. So we don't have the luxury to make hypotheses, right? We can't just go around guessing. We've got to have factual information and basis.
Factual information right in front of us, meaning the stories of the victims of everything and the video of everything all making sense. And you know what? I know you're thinking inside of, and I know this 100%. Wow, we messed up. Those 2 deputies, they messed up. They really messed up. We got to try to figure this out.
I'm not saying we did or we didn't. What I'm saying is we're going to wait until all the pieces of the puzzle are laid down and we put them together to determine what exactly took place. And if there's wrongdoing internally, if there's policy violations, there will be internal sanctions. If there's criminal violations, then there will be criminal charges. But we can't just go in half-cocked and not do a thorough investigation. That's not fair to you. It's not fair to the deputies. It's not fair to the suspect or anyone else for that matter. We've got to be fair and accurate.
If that was a video of somebody else hitting a deputy like that, he'd be charged in a minute, in a heartbeat, on video.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
If the roles were reversed and Mr. Gregory punched the deputy like that, the way the deputy hit was pummeling him, there would be a lot more charges, and he would have been obviously been arrested, but there would be a lot more charges, and them charges would have came instantly, not a whole internal investigation. Which I can get that there needs to be a whole internal investigation off of hearsay. He said this, she said this. However, you got video evidence in front of you, regardless of what happened. I don't care what happened. I don't care what brought the police out there. I could care less what brought them out there. There needs to be either a warrant, probable cause, or some extenuating circumstances for those deputies to enter that home. If they didn't have one of those 3, Paulding County messed up. Basically, that's what it is.
But do we know yet if one of those 3 was present? Do you know? Because
I know.
I don't.
I do.
You're making an assumption, right?
No.
Or an assertion, either one.
No, I do know.
Okay.
Because first it was misdemeanor obstruction, later upgraded to felony obstruction. Where are the rest of the charges? What probable cause led them to the obstruction? You can you can charge somebody with just obstruction, period, and that's the only charge you can. But I don't understand what he obstructed, what charge led them to come in the house. Makes no sense. And by all means,
have you read the language? I can give you the code section. Have you read the language of the obstruction discharge in Georgia, and I'll give you just the cliff notes. It's basically
a physical act.
I'm sorry?
It's a physical act.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. You're hindering an officer in the lawful discharge of his or her duties. That's basically the Cliff Notes version of that. It's 1610-24, 16-10-24. That's the OCGA code. And feel free to look it up. You probably know it because you're retired or former law enforcement. But when you hinder an officer in the lawful discharge of his or her duties, that is what constitutes an obstruction charge. Right?
If you hinder them, yeah, but I'm trying to figure out what he was hindering.
Right, and so that's what we're going to figure out.
Him not wanting to provide ID or not wanting to talk to him is not hindering.
And I didn't say that it was, but we've got to figure out what was the reasoning for them being there. Was there an allegation of a criminal act against this individual or any individual at that home? I don't have that information, nor do you, I don't think. And so that's what we're trying to figure out.
You can't, like you just said, you can't make up information that's not there and you don't know. There's no other charges. Where are the other charges? Of the criminal, of the probable cause for whatever charge under the sun, misdemeanor, felony, whatever the case may be. Where's that charge that led up for him obstructing? Because I tell you what, if there is nothing and they did illegally enter that home and do what they did, then that obstruction charge is null and void. He had every right to resist. It was an unlawful arrest. You can't argue with that.
I'm not arguing with you.
You can't.
I'm not.
I mean, you can catch me on the street. Somebody could call the police on me for doing whatever under the sun. You show up, you come up and try to talk to me, and I tell you off that I don't want to talk to you, I ain't giving you nothing. You better have some damn good probable cause or extenuating circumstances to detain and ID me, because you cannot operate off of hearsay. Anybody can call the cops on anybody. Anybody can lie. Just like y'all think, most law enforcement thinks everybody lies. Everybody can lie. You better have some PC or better have something. I tell you, them deputies, they better have something on their audio. I don't know how often their audio records when they're responding to calls or the call that came out and everything, and whatever it is, they better have something. They better have something that gives them, beyond a reasonable doubt that they needed to enter that home for whatever reason or for whatever crime. And then by all means, if Mr. Gregory, there was another crime and later on gets indicted on another charge, then, that's all fine and dandy, then, shame on him.
Well, and that's why we have to, and I think that's what the important part is, and that's what's great about our country and our judicial system, is that you've got the ability to find all this information out. That's why we need to pump the brakes and let this investigation take its course, because we don't have all the information yet. I don't think it's fair to make a rash decision on either side of the ball because we don't have all the information yet. Would you agree with that?
I agree if there was other charges, yeah. If there were other charges that came out.
There may very well be, Russell. There may very well be. I don't know, nor do you. And, if that's the case, then it's really kind of a moot point if that's the case. Wouldn't you agree?
No, not with what's at light right now, no. Not with everything that's out right now. Maybe if the video started at a later time or something, whatever, and the deputies couldn't explain themselves either out on the scene of why they had to make entry, and the occupants said they did not invite them in, and it just all stinks. It just stinks. I don't know how else to put it. The video doesn't lie. The Nothing was altered in the video. There's no special effects that shows that deputy punching him or something, for whatever happened. The video doesn't lie, and every jailer, every officer, every deputy that goes to court to defend what they've done, and they have video evidence to get a conviction out of somebody, that statement is made. At some point along the lines, a video doesn't lie. However, turn back over to law enforcement, the video doesn't lie. Oh, well, now there's extenuating circumstances. We don't see it from the officer's point of view. You ever thought about you didn't see it from the target's point of view? What about that? If the video doesn't lie, then the video shouldn't lie across the board. It looks how it looks. It looks horrible. Granted, they had a warrant, search warrant, whatever it was, or whatever reason, because extenuating circumstances, they would have made entry into that house a whole lot faster than what they did. It doesn't make any sense.
That's the thing. We don't know how long they were in that house because the video only picks up when they're right there.
But doesn't the deputy call when he arrived on scene?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
We'll know how long they've been there total. Then when they leave and back that up from the video.
Right. We'll know how long they've been on scene, but there's not going to be an accurate representation of when they entered that home.
And then it's I guess if it was that bad, they made entry. That had to become a crime scene. Why was the other guy allowed to go in there and film? Why did they try to kick somebody else out of that residence?
It was, from you've seen the video clearly multiple times. He was asked to leave. It was.
But he doesn't have to.
Because it was in that scenario, with a very hostile situation where you've got an individual who's very hostile, and you're trying to maintain the security of all the parties involved, an additional individual is not helping the situation at all.
Then why didn't they enforce it?
They did. He went outside. He went outside, did he not?
No, he went outside when all the deputies went outside and carried him and the
he stayed out of that area, and I don't know what the house looks like, but he was out of that particular room with an officer from the Hiram Police Department. He was not in there with them. He was out there with a Hiram officer who was keeping an eye on him, making sure he wasn't there to cause
he was in the house.
I understand that, Russell.
He wasn't
outside. What you're not understanding is, Russell, I didn't say that he was outside the house. He was in another area, not in that kitchen area. Right? So he was in another area of the home with the Hiram officer, while our deputies were in the kitchen area with the female and the male.
When he first went in, Deputy Evans told him to get out of the house and he can film from the window. Why wasn't that enforced?
He left the area. He left that room. That's a situation where you've got an individual who you have no idea who it is. You just had a hostile situation occur, and you got another individual there. You don't know what the scenario is. You don't know what their intent is. You're trying to make sure all the parties involved are safe and secure.
Okay, yeah.
Have you not been on calls in law enforcement where you had multiple individuals on the scene, and you had to maintain the security of not only the deputies and officers involved, but the persons involved as well?
No, I'm not speaking on my experience or my behalf or anything. I'm just trying to get to the bottom.
Well, you should, because you're basing your opinion on your experiences, and you as a law enforcement officer
I'm basing my opinion on the video that I saw.
Right, but you're basing the way you think on your experiences, and your experiences are based on your time in law enforcement.
That is incorrect.
Well, we can agree to disagree, but you just as well as me and anyone else, base their opinions and the way they act and the way they believe based on things that they've done in life. And you have been a law enforcement officer.
Here's a quick
in some
way.
shape, form, or fashion.
Here's a quick way to settle this. This will settle it 100%, and I promise you'll feel good about it, and I promise I'll feel good about it. This is a foolproof way to settle it with one question. Do video cameras lie?
Do video cameras lie? Video cameras don't always tell the entire story. And you know that as well.
You missed
as
what
I do, because they don't
missed what I
they
said.
Don't, they don't catch the full scenario.
Okay, I think you missed the question here. Just yes or no. Do video cameras lie?
Do you want me to answer that honestly?
Your opinion.
Okay, but I need to know, do you want me to answer that honestly?
Of course I want you to answer it honestly.
Okay, so the honest answer is video cameras do not always show the entirety of an incident. That is the honest answer. And I think you can appreciate and understand that.
Well, I think that video cameras do not lie. You point a video camera at something, it's going to record what it sees and what it hears, regardless of what's going on.
It's not always going to show the entirety of the incident.
Regardless of what's going on, whatever's in front of that lens, it's going to show what happens.
Well, I didn't say that. I just said it's not going to show the entirety of the incident.
So that means video cameras and recordings tell the truth then.
I didn't say they did or they didn't. I'm just saying they don't show the entirety of an incident. They don't show the complete entirety that a person can see or experience.
So if I put a video camera in front of you and it films you drinking a bottle of water, later on I go, Mr. Henson drank a bottle of water, while I was filming him. Would that be true or would that be not true?
It's not going to show everything. It's going to show whatever the camera's pointed at.
I know. Just listen.
Right?
Just please, just listen to me. If I point a video camera lens at you, it's filming you. You pick up a bottle of water and you drink some water out of that bottle. I go write a report about that. I say Mr. Henson drank a bottle of water in front of the camera. Is that truthful or is that false?
Well, it's not going to show the entirety, because is it going to show whether the water was cold, was it hot? Those are other factors that are in play.
I don't care. I just want to know if you drank.
Mr. Russell.
I don't care. I just want to know if you drank I just want to know if you drank bottle. If you drank some water.
What if that's pertinent? So what if that's pertinent? Okay, conversely, I'll give you one. If you're drinking a cup of coffee and it's somebody's video and you're drinking a cup of coffee, okay, and do you know if that coffee's hot or cold? Could that make a difference in a scenario? Absolutely. If you're drinking a cup of coffee and you don't know if it's hot or cold, and there's allegations that you're burnt by a cup of coffee, the video is not going to indicate whether the coffee's hot or cold, right?
It depends on the question.
Well,
if I drank a cup of if I drank a cup of
show the entirety of the incident.
If I drink a cup of coffee that's hot and I burn myself, there's going to be a reaction on the video of me burning myself. Whatever reaction it is, and not knowing, I put a.
But is there video of the coffee being hot? If it's got a lid on, you're probably not going to see steam, right?
But if I burn myself with the coffee, you're going to see a reaction.
But could that reaction be fake? Could it be fabricated?
Doesn't know. Other than you say, were you drinking other than saying, were you drinking a cup of coffee in front of the camera? Yes, I was drinking a cup of coffee. If that's what I was doing,
but did it show the entirety?
I'm asking a direct.
Everything about the incident.
I'm asking a direct question.
I think that's the key here, is that they're not going to show every single thing. Is it going to show smells? Are smells possibly important in scenarios? Sure. You go to a scene and you smell the odor of.
I'm not asking you what the water smelled like.
The odor of marijuana.
I'm not asking what the water smelled like.
Is it's not going to show everything in its entirety. It's going to show what it's pointed at, and that's not the totality of the incident. And that's all I'm trying to get you to understand. Would you agree that a camera is not going to show everything that a human can see, experience, touch, feel, taste, smell? Is a camera going to show all that?
Of course not, but I'm not asking about touch. I'm not asking about smell.
And
I'm asking about, did it see you drink some water?
Go into what you make your decisions, how you base your decisions. You use all of your senses to make your decisions. And so a camera's not going to accurately show all the things that your body and your mind processes when you go into a scenario. That's all I'm saying. A camera's going to record what it's pointed at, but that's not always the entirety of the situation. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
There we go. You answered it. You got it. You just answered it. You said it's going to record what it's pointing at.
What grade do I get? Do I get a good grade?
Oh yeah, you get an A because you just answered my question. Because you just said a camera's going to record what it's pointed at. So if it's pointed at you drinking out of a bottle of water, means
is that everything in entirety, Mr. Russell?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All I asked. It doesn't matter. All I asked was, did you drink out of the water bottle? That's it. Who cares about the smell? Doesn't matter. It's a direct question.
What if it's pertinent?
If it's pertinent, I'll ask it later.
Yeah, but it might be pertinent initially.
Did you drink out of the water bottle? Very simple question. Yes or no? Yes, I drank out of the water bottle. What did it smell like? Well, I don't know. You can fabricate anything you want. Then you're moving into the lines of the camera didn't record the smell, because a camera can't record what something smells like.
Right.
But it can record that you took a drink of the water.
The camera's not going to accurately. It's not always going to accurately depict the scenario.
So
you agree?
No. You know what? Let's do this. Okay. I tell you what. I tell you what. I'll agree with you on that. I'll go ahead and I'll agree with you. And I'm going to ask you this. Then every case,
we can play these games all day.
Every case that you've taken to court, and any deputy's taken to court in Paulding County with video evidence, needs to be reevaluated then, because none of that stuff was evaluated.
What do you mean? It wasn't evaluated?
The smell, the touch, the feel, all the senses.
All that is taken into consideration. That's why you have to document everything in words. That's why we write reports. That's why we don't just go into court with a video for a report, right?
I like you, Mr. Henson, man. You make no sense, but I like you. You cool, man.
Hey, man. Hey, you know what, Russell? You know what? Here's the thing. Me and you can talk all day long, and I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get upset.
Oh, me neither.
And you know what I'm saying is right. I mean, you know it's right.
I'm not going to get upset either. I don't. I do got to go, man. I've taken a lot of your time, and I do really appreciate it.
We talk. Hey, let's keep talking.
Oh, man.
Talk all day.
Actually, no, I want to. I do want to do a follow-up with you after the internal investigation's done. That's something that I do want to do, for real, seriously.
Yeah, and hey, man, I'll be honest with you. I don't know when that'll be, but I'll tell you what. When it's done, I will try to make a point to let you know.
Okay, yeah, most definitely, and I will tell you, I will give you my word after the internal investigation is done, and there's evidence of everything that them deputies acted right and did, in accordance with the law and Paulding County policy. By all means, I would make sure I correct everything.
Well, and I will conversely, if our deputies were in the wrong and they did something wrong, we will be happy to discuss that as well, to what my policy will allow me to say. I think that's fair, don't you?
I do. I think that's very fair.
If our deputies did something wrong, and I will tell you, and I'll have to go back and double check, our policy won't allow me to say certain things about internal investigations. There are some things that I can say and some things that I cannot say. But if our deputies are in the wrong and it's something that I can expound upon, I will be happy to do that. And certainly, if there's criminal charges, you're going to know that anyway, because that's going to be public record.
Yeah, I don't need anything that, and I know there's certain things you can't go into, which that's fine, other than, Paulding County messed up, if that's the case.
Yeah, and you know what? If we did, we're going to own it. If we didn't, then we're not going to own it. That's the bottom line. And that, if you will convey that to your viewers, listeners, readers, followers, that's what I hope that you and I got out of this conversation. If we're wrong, we will own it. If we're not wrong, then the gentleman that got got arrested, and he's going to have to go through the court proceedings. I think that's about the most fair thing that I can say. I appreciate what you guys do. I don't know if you have a partner on your channel, if it's just you, but whoever it is, I appreciate what you guys do. And, you're holding folks accountable, and we need to be. We are government employees. We work for the people of our county, and we're held to a higher standard. Period.
All righty. I appreciate your time today, Mr. Henson. I really do.
Yeah, man.
I really do.
This is my cell number. You got my email. Shoot me an email or whatever. Let me know, and keep in touch, because I don't know when it's going to be done. I really don't even want to speculate. I don't want to say it'll be a week and you call back and say, hey, why is it not done? Because it may be longer. I don't have a clue.
It's fine. If you get word that it's done, shoot me an email, and I'm going to keep close tabs on it. And if it gets done, I'll shoot you an email and set up another time to speak with you again about it.
Yep. I do know that once it is completed, it's sealed for a certain amount of time. I want to think it's 10 days. It's sealed, and then certain portions are releasable. But like I said, I'll find out all that when it's done, and we'll kind of, we'll go from there.
Okay, cool beans, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Y'all take care, and you need anything, holler, buddy.
Will do, sir. Will do. You as well. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, bye-bye.